Just before the grass began to show itself in the early part of spring, 2 visitors arrived at our camp on Little Bighorn. One of these was our captured old woman, Sweet Woman. The other was a half-breed Sioux we called White. Each had a horse to ride, and each was leading a pack horse. In their packs were tobacco and other things for gifts to the principal chiefs. The visitors said they'd been sent out from the soldier fort at the mouth of the Tongue River to invite us to come there and surrender peaceably. They brought us a promise from Bear Coat, the soldier chief there, that we should not be harmed and should be given plenty of food. So they're starting to get enticed. By basically food, tobacco. Back to the book. The 4 chiefs came back to us at this Powder River camp. White Bull was not with them. They told us he had stayed with the soldiers to scout for them in hunting Indians. This news did not please us. As we looked at it, the surrendering to the soldiers was good if one felt like doing this, but an offer to help them to kill friends showed a bad heart. I was more affected, though, by other news the chiefs brought. It was concerning my sister, Crooked Nose, one of the captives. When the chiefs were only a part of the first day out and coming back from the fort, somebody followed them to tell them about her. She had been very sad in the heart because of a belief she would never again see her people. She had felt better when the chiefs came, but when they went away again, she fell into a deep grief. Her sorrow was so great that she had gotten out her hidden 6-shooter I had given to her, and she shot herself dead. My heart almost stopped beating when I heard about her death this way. She had been a good sister, kind to everybody. 7 Cheyennes from the agency came to the camp on Powder River. One of them had a teepee lodge, but no women were with them. They came only to tell us we ought to surrender at the agency. They said all the Indians there were being well fed, were being well treated in every way. Nobody was being punished in any manner for past conduct in warfare against the soldiers. So they're getting told basically there's another group. They can surrender at the fort, the army fort, or they can surrender at the Indian agency, which is also controlled by the soldiers. And of course, I just read that part about Wooden Leg's sister committing suicide. So just a devastating blow to him. Now, as this continues, the decision gets made by the chiefs to surrender. Actually, at first to find out a little bit more, gather some more intel. Little Wolf and the other principal chiefs chose to go out to the agency. And then when they come back, they say that it's pretty good to go. And when they hear this, they hear about the food, they hear about the whiskey, they hear about the shelter. They decide that the main body of the tribe sets off towards the agency to surrender. Back to the book. But not all the Cheyennes were ready yet to surrender at any place. 14 or 15 men, 6 or 7 of them having wives or children, separated off to go westward. White Hawk, a little chief of the Elk Warriors, was with them. I joined another band still desiring the most freedom we considered to be ours by right. 34 Cheyennes made up this band. So there's a couple little separate groups that break off and decide they're going to continue pushing. And as they're doing that, when they get in these smaller groups, if you can imagine, I mean, just like any group, if you break it down enough, you start to lose your efficiency. And that's what happened with these smaller groups. They just weren't as efficient anymore because they had less people. I mean, you can't catch as many, you can't work in cooperation to hunt buffalo. And so they didn't do well on their own. Back to the book. We were having a good many days of hunger. Our horses had plenty of grass, but our own ribs were becoming thin. Our clothing was wearing out, and we could not get enough skins to renew them and keep our beds and our lodges in good order. My soldier coat and breeches were gone, and my last shirt and cloth breeches were almost in tatters. The only good article of wear I had now was my big white hat I'd captured at the Rosebud battle. A Cheyenne named Yellow Eagle added himself to us. He had been at the agency not long before. We decided to have him and Whitebird go there and spy out the conditions. They went. In a week or so, they were back among us. Good treatment, plenty of food, blankets, everything. Nobody punished, they reported. We started right away for the agency. So, when they split apart into these smaller groups, that was definitely problematic. And now they go from being out there kind of on their own, hungry, running out of food, don't have good equipment anymore. And they send somebody to the agency to check it out, and they get the report back that there's plenty of food and blankets and warm, and all they got to do there is go ahead and give up. So now they move, and they start heading towards the agency. And when they get there, back to the book, it made us all feel good to see hundreds of Indian lodges as we came near to the agency. We galloped our horses forward. We cheered and fired gunshots into the air. Some soldiers came running out of their tents, but they soon saw we were friendly and only celebrating and notifying our people we had come. So here they are. And a white man married to a Cheyenne woman was acting as an interpreter for the soldiers. His name was Roland. But White Hat did not need any interpreter in talking to us. He could make the sign talk so well. After the general handshaking, White Hat said, "Now you men must give me your guns and your horses." We were not expecting this, but we trusted him, so we began to do as he asked. I'm telling you, got to be careful in this situation. When you start giving up your guns, this is not a recommended course of action. You know, if you're coming in peace, why are you not allowed to keep your weapons? This is not I do not agree with this scenario. Back to the book.